How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today we have another one of those discussion videos that I just wanted to get into. Real quick, I forgot to bring this up on my recap of the week, but remember when I said there was some quarterback news? Yeah, I forgot to touch on one piece of that, and it happens to deal with Cam Newton. So, as you guys know, throughout this season, Cam Newton's played like probably 2 games. He's been dealing with like the shoulder injury, and now he has like a little foot injury that seems to have come up in his injury report as well. Kind of feeling bad for the dude right about now, but he is actually going to be placed on injured reserve for the rest of the season. As you guys know, this is week 10 of the NFL season, injured reserve. You're typically on there for 8 weeks, so yeah, his season's basically over unless this team gets into the playoffs and they make the divisional round. And even if that were a possibility, I don't see Cam Newton playing. Simply because, you know, Kyle Allen's actually been pretty solid. Nothing too crazy at the position, but they are winning with him. So I guess basically we're going to be discussing what's next for Cam Newton, and also I guess I'll give you guys a little recap of how we got to this point. So basically this goes back to last season. Actually, you can, in your mind, you know, you can use your imagination of when it started, but really it started to take shape last season. Cam Newton had like a shoulder injury. He came back and he just really wasn't throwing, you know, with the same amount of zip and touch as he used to. And I know he's not one of those precision throwers. He's more of like, I'm gonna put it in the area for my receiver and he can go get it. But Cam Newton's actually a, you know, pretty good quarterback. I know he gets a lot of shit because of like how he dresses and his cocky attitude sometimes, and like I get that, and I get that it turns a lot of people off. But Cam Newton's actually a pretty good football player, and I would like to think he's a good quarterback. But over the last year and a half, I mean, recency bias, I guess you could say, or just straight up facts, he hasn't been that good. Last season, like I say, he was dealing with like some shoulder injuries, you know, some pain in his shoulder, not really feeling the same, which can take a toll on a guy like Cam Newton, who does rely a lot on, you know, taking some contact, taking some hits, and, you know, just stuff like that. It does happen. And, you know, he missed, like, I think half of last season as well. And Kyle Allen got to come in for the final game against the New Orleans Saints. They end up winning. I mean, the Saints did start Teddy Bridgewater for the first time, and, you know, like, the Saints already clinched the playoff spot. I think they already clinched like a bye week and everything, so that game didn't really mean much. But yeah, they won, them being Kyle Allen and Carolina. They took care of business. That's how the business goes sometimes. If you're winning, that's what's up. I mean, you want to be winning. And then we enter this season. You know, we're thinking, okay, he's had a full off season, you know, to get healthy. You know, maybe we're going to see an improved Cam Newton. Like, maybe we don't see the super flashy Cam that we're used to, but maybe we see a guy that's more, you know, cool with sitting in the pocket for a little bit longer and probably only runs when he absolutely has to. Well, kind of, I guess you could say. I mean, he did run, of course. I mean, he did have like this cool play where like Christian McCaffrey was lined up at quarterback and he basically did a handoff to Cam Newton. It was pretty dope, actually. I think it was against the Rams, could be mistaken, but they had 2 home games to open up their season, and they went 0-2 with Cam Newton, and Cam Newton really didn't play that good in those 2 games. Like, he had his moments for sure, but he really wasn't playing with a whole lot of consistency, and he was missing some pretty easy throws, to be honest, especially over the middle of the field, which was very concerning because this dude spent his entire offseason trying to get better, and he was dealing with the shoulder thing, and we thought it was going to be a thing of the past. Unfortunately, it was only predicting the future for him, because after the Tampa Bay game, that was basically it for him. Like, we did not see him, and then the Kyle Allen era began. And once he entered the lineup, this team did not, you know, really, they didn't lose. They lost 1 game while Kyle Allen's been in the starting lineup, and that was against San Francisco, who happens to be undefeated as of recording this video. We'll see Monday night once they play Seattle if they're still undefeated. They probably will be. It is a home game for them, but we'll see after I make my predictions and we get the results. But Kyle Allen has been, I guess what Carolina needs, because they have been winning football games. And, McCaffrey's playing like the MVP of the league. I'm not saying he is, but he definitely deserves to be at least in your top 5. I'm not going to sit here and say he should be, but what he is doing right now is matching what I always fuck up his name. LT. He's doing exactly what LT is doing. Back when he had that incredible season for the Chargers, he's on pace to break the all-purpose yards that CJ2K had that one year for Tennessee. So he's doing some incredible things right now. And, it's kind of been the reason why this team has at least stayed afloat and remained competitive on the offensive side of the ball. And it's a very good thing that Kyle Allen has a Christian McCaffrey, because it's a huge help. But now let's just talk about the future of Cam Newton. So obviously he's on IR, which means the season's over. He has one more year left on his current contract, and if the team were to release Cam Newton or trade Cam Newton, they would clear up $19.1 million in cap space. And if you're the Carolina Panthers and you've been winning without him, how do you say no to that deal? How do you say no to those circumstances? You've been winning with Kyle Allen, who is low maintenance. He cost you a penny compared to what Cam Newton will cost you. And then on top of that, they've been winning, with Kyle Allen while they were losing with you. If you compare like the last 8 starts for both quarterbacks, it is night and day that they have had more success with Kyle Allen under center than they have with Cam Newton. So Carolina's got a tough decision to make. It's not a decision that you want to make. It's not a decision that you feel comfortable making, especially considering all that Cam Newton has accomplished for you, and considering the fact that, he's beloved by the fan base. But some fans are starting to turn on him a little bit, and that's not a shot at those fans. I mean, you're entitled to however you want to feel, when it comes to player attachment. But this is a tough decision for the organization. It's not a decision that you want to make, but it's one that you have to make, because this is basically your immediate future. You can keep Cam Newton, and, you could try to make it work with Cam, and it probably wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to do that per se. Or you can just say, okay, we've seen what Cam Newton can do. Enough is enough. Let's trade him. Let's try to get something for him, and use that $19 million to put a better team together around Kyle Allen and Christian McCaffrey offensively, and around Gerald McCoy, K'Wan Short, and Brian Burns and Luke Kuechly and those boys on defense. So there's a couple of routes to take, and obviously in this league you want to save money and you want to spend it elsewhere without having to be in cap hold hell. So that's probably going to be the route that Carolina takes. But like I said, it's going to be a tough decision, and it's not a decision that all parties involved want to be involved in, but it needs to be done sooner rather than later. And I think this offseason is the perfect time to address it. You're gonna have to see where Cam Newton is. If he's not even feeling 50% better, like, you gotta move on. If he's not even at 80%, I think you have to move on. It's a tough situation, and I'm gonna keep saying that it's a tough situation, because you're asking a franchise to move on from the guy they once called their franchise quarterback in hopes of keeping their window alive and using that money elsewhere. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. What do you think Carolina should do with Cam Newton? Should they try to keep him for one more season and run it up and try to make Cam Newton work, with the team again? Or do you just go to Kyle Allen, you trade Cam Newton, and try to use that money elsewhere? What would you do if you're the Carolina Panthers general manager today, or basically in the offseason where this event would take place? Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and peace out.